Welcome, lovely listeners, to Soul Stirred, stories of growth and the human experience. I'm Emily Garcia.
And I'm Casey Clark.
We will be your guides on this journey. We are so glad you are here.
Each week, we'll come together, sometimes with other incredible thinkers, creators, and adventurers, to generously share stories of self-discovery, recovery, triumph, and what it means to live a life on purpose.
No matter where you are in your own journey, connection is here for you at Soul Stirred.
Settle in, take a deep breath in, and let's inspire each other.
Welcome to Soul Stirred. Hi, and welcome to the Soul Stirred Podcast. I'm Emily.
And I'm Casey.
And we are here with Soul Stirred, stories of growth and the human experience. Today, we are super excited to welcome Mary Gaul. Mary is the owner of 2 businesses, speaker and author of 2 books. She's a certified business coach who guides entrepreneurs and helps them find practical solutions and new ideas for growth and success. She helps them to see the big picture, prioritize goals and strategies, and help hold them accountable while having some fun and building joyful profits. What a cool introduction. Mary is really amazing. And before we start, I just want to say I have been working with Mary. I am on a peer advisory panel that she facilitates, and I've grown so much because of her. So welcome, Mary. We're so happy to have you.
Yay. Thank you. I am so excited for your podcast and so excited and delighted that I get to be a guest on your podcast.
Yay, we're thrilled to have you, Mary. So excited to share you with our listening audience.
Yes.
Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about you and what guided you to get to this point in your life.
Yes. It's such an interesting journey, right? When we take time to reflect on how we got to where we are today and look at all the fun twists and turns that have shown up in our lives and have gotten us to where we are. I grew up in Kansas, moved to Colorado about 30 years ago, and met my husband in the apartment building we lived in, and we've raised our 2 children here in Colorado. And I've worked in various businesses, right, with marketing, communications, operations, executive assistant. So I've had kind of this varied work life in the corporate world, right? And I got a lot of the skills that I learned were because I raised my hand whenever there was an opportunity, right? It's like, oh, I'll learn that. I'll learn how to do that, right? Or I can figure that out. So that's a lot of my journey, is just figuring things out as I went and having the opportunities to be able to say, I can figure that out. Let me do that, right? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but most of the time I can make it work. And worked in a big corporate international engineering firm for many years, and then took a couple of years off when my girls were little. And then I ran a law firm for 10 years and did everything but practice law there. All the marketing, all the HR, all the IT, everything but practice law, which was a great learning experience again, because there was lots of opportunities to raise my hand and take on a new project, right? One of the things I love about myself is that I do like a challenge and I do like being creative. So if I am stuck in doing the same thing over and over for too long, I get bored, right? So knowing that I need that creative spark, or I need some new things happening around me all the time, has led to a lot of what I've done as well. So when I had been at the law firm for 10 years, I realized I had done everything there that I could possibly do. And I was getting to kind of in that rut of, okay, it's kind of the same old. And knew it was time for me to leave. And I had some friends encourage me to start my own business. And I was like, why? What does that even look like? I don't even know what that is, right? And so I had somebody tell me to start asking the question, I wonder. And I know, Emily, I've shared this with you and you've taken this to heart as well. It's such a powerful question. I wonder. And he's like, just ask yourself, I wonder anything about what you're going to do next, right? I wonder if I'm going to get a job. I wonder if I'll have to commute. I wonder if I'll have a window at my office. I wonder if I'll like the people I work with, right? So just kept asking, I wonder, and staying open to whatever showed up. And then the most random things kept showing up in random places. Like I didn't really know what a virtual assistant was at the time because I was working in the corporate world. So we hired temps, right? If we needed somebody to come in and do some work for us. But this virtual assistant thing kept popping up in random places. Like at my child's middle school book fair, there was a book about how to start a virtual assistant company. What? It's like, okay, universe, thank you for putting that in my lap, right? And in a magazine or, in a webinar I was on or something like that. So I started looking into that and I was like, ooh, I've got all the skills to do that. I could start that business. So I did. I jumped into entrepreneurship 10 years ago with my first company, which is The Gift of Time, which is a virtual assistant company, and started getting clients. I was like, this is great. This is easy, right? I love this. And lots of creativity because you're working with new people and new projects all the time. But then in about 6 months, I hit capacity, which is a good problem to have, but it's also a problem because you realize, how do I get this past myself? I can't take on more clients. I don't have any more hours or energy in the day. So how do I grow past myself? And I struggled with that for about 6 months until I met a business coach that I just instantly clicked with and hired them, joined a peer advisory board, started taking some courses and workshops. And within a year, I had completely shifted my model of my business by getting that outside guidance, right? I knew it was possible. I knew I had done it for other companies that I had worked for as an employee, but when it was my own business, I just couldn't see the forest for the trees, right? So I needed that outside perspective and fell in love with being a coachee and seeing what my coaches could do for other business owners. And then when they decided to license their processes, I was like, yes, I want to be able to help other people through this process, just like I went through, right? So then I got certified 8 years ago as a business coach, and now that's where I spend the majority of my time, is really helping other entrepreneurs see their blind spots, because we can't see what we can't see, right? We don't know what we don't know. So I just absolutely love it because every conversation I have is different. Every conversation is, I get to be creative and use my natural gifts and talents that bring joy to my soul in every day that I get to work with people. So I just am so happy that I found my way to this career path, right? So that's kind of where I am. And then I've written a couple of books and I love to speak and have events. And yeah, I just get to do all the fun, creative stuff that I love to do.
Wow.
Great. I love that. You said I would raise my hand back when you were at the law firm, raise my hand and figure things out. And that's exactly why you have all of these different things that you do, because raising your hand is such a brave thing to do when you don't know what that thing is. And like, maybe I'll succeed, maybe I'll fail. I have no idea. Right.
And it really does come down to trusting yourself that you can figure things out.
Yeah.
Right. When I started at the law firm, I started as a part-time receptionist. It was like 2 days a week because my little kids were little at home. And I was like, okay, yeah, I can go into an office and get some adult conversation and that, that'll be fine. So on my first day, I noticed that their website had some typos in it. And they're like, oh, can you fix that? I was like, I don't know anything about websites. What are you talking about? And then I was like, well, there's a class I can take on how to, write HTTP code. So I actually took a coding class to figure it out and learned it. So, the fact that they trusted me to take the class and then figure out how to update their website back end of the code, I was like, I've never done that before. I trust that I can learn things. And so, sure, I'll give it a whirl,
There are so many things to love about your opening story, Mary. The trust in yourself, the willingness to raise your hand and be courageous like that without knowing the answers, like your belief in yourself and your own curiosity, the trust that you expressed in the universe, being open to co-leading with the universe and listening for the signals that it was sending so that you could follow and find the path. And I love when you said it was time for me to grow beyond myself. What a line. Like, how does a person know when they're in a moment where what needs to happen is to grow beyond oneself?
Yeah. I mean, there's that feeling of stuckness, boredom, lack of, just
verve.
joy, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And when every day, you get to the end of the month and you're like, what even happened this month? Every day, every week just kind of becomes the same routine,
Yeah.
right? You get to work and you don't even realize how you drove there because it's so routine. You're just on autopilot and then it's Friday night and you're like, wow, what happened to this week? And a real eye opener for me was when I took a course called the Pinnacle Productivity course. It's one of the courses that I teach in the Pinnacle Success System, and it's all about how to manage your time. But in there, we break down time into these buckets. And so we have pinnacle time, personal time, prep time, and purge time. And the personal time was such an eye opener for me. I actually cried in the course because I was just like, they were like, what's your personal time? And in my mind, I'm thinking personal time is when I'm not working, right? So I was like, okay, personal time is when I'm, fixing dinner for the kids or, going to the grocery store or doing laundry, housework, those kind of things, right? And then, so I'm writing that down in my workbook. And then the instructor was like, and personal time is not laundry,
Taking care of others.
not grocery shopping. I'm like, oh, what are the things that bring you joy? And I did not know what to write. I couldn't write anything because I had lost sight of that because I was a mom and a volunteer and a wife and a sister and a daughter and all of those roles that we all play. And I had lost sight of what brings me joy, what refills my battery. And so I really had to put some thought into that question and then work intentionally to put that back in my life. Wow. So I started a book club in my neighborhood and we're going strong 7 years later. So I get to build relationships and connection with the women in my neighborhood and read books that I might not have and have great discussions and drink some wine too, right? but we really do have great discussions. And so because I used to love to read, but I had kind of let that go and I was only reading business books, right? Which is okay, but doesn't bring you joy all the time, right? So I was like, I love to read. I love to discuss books. So let me start a book club. And then the other fun thing I added back into my life was paddleboarding, right? So we had done that sporadically with our girls and I just love being on the water and in the water. And so started on the water networking that summer and started inviting my people from my network to come paddleboard with me on Friday mornings. And just absolutely love that. It brings me such joy to have conversations with entrepreneurs and be out on the water, in nature, and on a Friday morning when everybody else is going to work and we get to go and play. So it's just so much fun.
I love that so much. You're so cool. I
thank you.
can be friends after today, and I have so many curiosities. But what I hear you saying that I want to punctuate for people, because I think it's so important, is you change the questions. Change the questions and you change your life. So many of us approach like that feeling of stagnation and stuckedness and sort of emptiness inside with, how can I make more money? Or how can I serve the world more? Or how can I, right? And your question was, where's my joy? What's joy? And how do I get more of that? And then again, the universe rose up to meet you there because of course it wants it to be easy and it's dying to love us. And so you follow your joy and all those things you need to run your life follow is what I'm saying. Has that been true for you?
Yes, it is. It's so true. And it seems so simple to say it. It is a big leap of faith to say, let me reach out to some neighbors and see if they want to talk to me once a month, right? To read a book with me. Because I knew them, we'd sit high, in the park or whatever, but to say, can you come to my home or can I come to your home and let's start a group? It took some coordination, right? It takes somebody to coordinate that to begin with and somebody to step up and say, I think this could be fun for all of us. So there's that salesperson piece. We all think we're not salespeople, but we are. We sell ourselves all the time, right? Which is another leap of faith and courage that you have to have, whether it's you want to talk to a neighbor or you want to have a date or you whatever it is, you're negotiating with your kids, you have to make those sales conversations. And when you can do that from a place of joy, it just makes everything easier, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm hearing like the voice of a cynic in the background of my mind right now that's going, so I come to you and I say, I want to launch my own business. I want to be an entrepreneur. How do you help? And you're saying start a book club with my neighbors and start paddleboarding on Friday mornings? Like, help me link this up for those of us who don't
Yeah.
know what you know, you know?
Right, right. No, that's not the first step I would tell you to take, but I would tell you to also do something that brings you joy while you're building your business, because building a business is not easy, no matter what anybody tells you, and no matter how many webinars and Instagram posts you see that says, oh, I can get you to 100K in 5 weeks or whatever it is, right? There's a lot of work to make that happen.
Mhm.
And it can be sometimes a little bit of soul draining work, because we have to make those sales calls. We have to put ourselves out there. We have to do some things that maybe are not in our giftedness. And, and that's fine to push ourselves out of our comfort zone, right? But at the same time, if you can find something that brings you joy, either brings you joy in the business that you're building, I encourage everybody to build a business that brings them joy in the first place, right? Don't start building a business and you don't even like what you're doing, right? That's not going to get you very far. But also build something into your personal life that brings you joy at the same time, right? It can be something very simple. It could be, I love reading, right? Or I love cooking. So, okay, I'm going to try a new recipe every Friday night, right?
Mhm.
I'm going to work hard on my business Monday through Friday. Friday night, I love cooking. So I'm going to have a friend over for dinner and, make a new recipe or something like that, right? So something that's joyful for you,
Yeah.
and build that in at the same time so that your life doesn't become swallowed up by your business and the stress of building the business, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then, yeah, finding the joy in what you do and how to tap into we teach a class called Pinnacle Gift, right? So what are your natural gifts and talents that make you unique from everybody else? Even if you're a real estate agent and there's 28,000 real estate agents in Colorado, how do you sell a home that's unique to you because only you have your gifts and talents, right? So how do we pull those out of you and then use that to set yourself apart? And then when you're using those pieces of yourself, then you know that you're going to have more joy because you're in your natural gifts and talents. You're in that natural flow of things, right? You get to show up authentically. And then no matter what you do, if you're showing up authentically, then you get to have more joy in your life, right? Because things are easier and you don't have less stress and less struggle.
Such wisdom, such wisdom. I hear you saying, like, create your business from the inside out
Yes.
more than the outside in, which is where I think many of us get tangled up,
Yes. Yes.
focusing on who we're going to please or interest or sell external to us rather than what would feel good to me. What would
Right.
make me feel alive and generated? How do I feel like my presence in the world really matters?
Yes.
I love that. Love that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I do too. I think I'm just so happy that I found this system and then have learned to evolve this system. And, it shows up in everything that I do in my work, which is just, one of the reasons I get to be so happy and joyful because I found this, right? And not everybody finds it, and not everybody has the opportunity to make it work, right? So I don't take it for granted, but I'm just really blessed to be
I
able to
hear you
do it.
being humble,
Yeah.
and I also hear you created this. It's because of who you are and what you know about yourself and trust about yourself and the strengths in yourself that you believe in that you
Yes.
attracted what you now have and
Hmm.
what you've created. Yeah, I'm just in awe of you. I'm impressed.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It hasn't always been easy, and I want people to understand that, right? So when you're hearing me talk, I've been running a business for 10 years and 8 years simultaneously, and there are days when I'm just like, I want to go work at Starbucks, or I want to go be a greeter at Walmart. I don't want to do this anymore, right?
Yeah.
So I just want people to realize you're seeing me, the front of stage, like here's everything's wonderful and I get to have joy in my life, but there are real struggles to running a business. And so that's one of the reasons why you need a business coach, is because you will have those days where you're like, I don't want to do this. I'm overwhelmed. I'm stressed out. I can't get my clients to buy things, or whatever it is. And I can't find the joy in my business anymore. And so that's when you need somebody else to kind of remind you of
Mhm.
what brings you joy in your business and how we can bring that joy. I'm starting a new project called Joyful Profits. So how can we make profit being joyful, right? Because a lot of times service-based businesses, heart-based businesses feel a little guilty about making money, right?
Mm.
There's a lot of stories and a lot of issues around making money. And I just want to serve people and I just want to do that. Well, that's great. And you can serve people and make
Make
profits,
money doing
joyful
it.
profits.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And then you can have a bigger impact with that money that you make, right? So then you could start a charity, you could donate to charity, you could give back in so many more ways, in bigger ways, because you're making a profit. And it can be joyful and
Yeah.
impactful, right? So it doesn't have to be an or. We can have all those ands.
Mm.
So that's what I love helping people figure out, and really going back and saying there will be rough days, but what brings us joy? Let's stay focused on that, touch back in with that on a regular basis. And then
Yeah.
how are we stepping up to be authentic and unique in what we do and what we offer people?
I love that.
Said to people
As a
that
service professional and helper and healer, I'm thrilled to learn that I might be able to achieve some financial comfort as well. I mean, I
Yes,
don't have
yes.
to just be a martyr in the world.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
Thanks for that
being a martyr
permission.
does not bring joy.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
Not joy. Yeah.
I have said to people that running a business is not for the faint of heart because it's like a roller coaster. There are days where you're like on top of the world and you're like, look what I did and I'm helping people. And then days where you're like, am I even good at this?
Right.
Do I know what I'm doing? Does anyone want what I'm providing? And
Mhm.
I love that you, Mary, that your focus is on connection, celebration, and joy.
Mm.
And it really is such a beautiful way to look at things. I'm curious, why is celebration so important?
I have my book, which is Vitamin C3 for Business. So it's Connect, Contribute, and Celebrate Your Way to Success. So I was working with a really great friend of mine, and he's a writer and a fiction writer. And he was working on a novel, and I said, "Oh," he's like, "I need a writing buddy, just somebody to write with me so I stay on track." And I was like, "Oh, I'll do that. I like writing." So for a year, we met at a coffee shop once a week for an hour, did writing prompts. And many times I was like, this is a waste of my time being creative, right? It's like, I got work to do, but I'm driving to the coffee shop and I'm spending time writing. But in that year, I learned I'm not a fiction writer because I could not set a scene and have a conversation between characters. One character would just start monologuing all the time. It's like I can't write conversations. But so I was like, I need to just tell my story, right, or give my knowledge away. So these words though kept coming up in random ways through whatever story prompt we were working on was connect, contribute, and celebrate. Kept coming up all the time. And so I started noticing, it's like, what's up with those three words? And then I was like, well, if I'm going to write a book that helps people, gives people advice, right? Then why not do it around those three words? So then that's where this book idea came from, right? So this year of being creative came up with this book. And connection and celebration are really how I've shown up my whole life. Looking back at even, in junior high and high school, I used to throw theme parties for my friends and, randomly because it's a black and white day. So let's have a black and white party or whatever. So it's just I've always been able to gather people together, have some kind of celebration and build those connections with people, right? It's always been very important to me. I come from a large family. We're super tight. There's a lot of connections there between our family and our friends and, these kind of concentric circles around us. And so it's always just been part of who I am and how I show up. And when I got out in the larger world and realized, oh, not everybody has this, not everybody does this. And knowing the joy and peace and calm that it brings to me, how can I share that with other people? Right. So how can I, even in a simple way, help people connect to each other? Right. So my first book is about throwing a dinner party. So it's called The Guests Are Here, and it's helpful hints for easy, enjoyable entertaining. So nothing to do with business, but it was something that it's so important to me to connect over a meal and invite people into your home and, or even if it's just family, and having that time to share that connection space for an hour over a meal, right? And I think that's what I believe in my heart. That's what's going to solve the world's problems. If we could sit down and connect to each other for an hour and have a real conversation, or even a light conversation, but you're sitting down as human being to human being, it just makes all the difference in the world to be connected to other people. So it's just always been part of who I am. And, but that ultimate belief that connection is what will solve the world's problems, eventually, to take it to the super high level, right? We're meant to be connected. We're not soul animals. We are, herd animals or whatever, right? Tribe animals. So we need that connection to each other.
We were born to be in relationship with each other. I
Yes.
agree with you wholeheartedly. Yeah. Connection is the medicine that will save the world. Yeah.
Yeah. I have your book here. Would it be okay if I share a quote from it? One of your tips?
Yes.
So the book is called Vitamin C3 for Business, 52 Ideas to Connect, Contribute, and Celebrate Your Way to Success. This is tip number 5, share your story. We learn and share history through our stories. A well-told story can be remembered for months or years. Our brain expects a story to have a beginning, middle, and end. Sharing your story allows you to get clear on what happened, share the knowledge you have gained, and give meaning to your experiences. Sharing can make you feel vulnerable. After all, you are opening up the shell so that people can have just a small glimpse into the real you. You are only human. With our own weaknesses, insecurities, and fears, it is through this common human vulnerability that we can connect with others in the deepest way. Those listening may relate to something you have been through, and you now have the ability to connect over something on a much more personal level. I love that.
Yes. That just gave me goosebumps, which means for me, that's a universal truth, right? So it's been a while since I read my own book. So thank you for reading that to me again and reminding me that there's some really good stuff in there.
Yes,
there is.
And that was exactly why we wanted to start this podcast, because stories really they're scary to share. And when you do, you connect with people on such a deeper level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. It's so true. It's so true. And it does take that, little bit of vulnerability and trust that it's okay to share, even if that person doesn't react the way you want them to. It's okay, because you stepped up and you did what you needed for your soul, right? To try and make that connection to the person, right? And we're in a very divided and divisive world right now. And so it's going to take a lot of those mini connections to build a true connection with people, because everybody's got their guard up, right? And so it just takes that constant vulnerability to try and build some connection in some way. And it may not look how you think it's going to look, but even those little micro connections can make a big difference in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like, be willing to go first. Not waiting for others to pass some sort of trust test.
Yes.
Be willing to show up and be seen and share what is on your heart and what your truth is. And then I'm hearing you say you watched others sort of enroll and follow and rise up to meet you in that place, because you were willing to raise your hand and open your heart and be seen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yes. That reminds me, I think this quote is in the book as well. And I got it from another book, and I cite the book that it's from, but there's a quote in there, and it said, be the kind of person that walks into a room and instead of saying, hey, here I am, say, oh, there you are, right? Just that slight shift.
I love that.
I know. I love that quote too. And that's why I put it in my book too, because I was like, that's just such a powerful shift of, it's not about me, it's about you, right? Yeah. And it's a quick, simple way that we can remind ourselves to make that connection with somebody else and put them, in our spotlight of love and grace and light, so that they feel that connection from us.
Yeah, there you are.
Yeah, there you are. So here I am.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that can apply to your business as well, right? When you're doing your marketing, when you're doing your, having a conversation about your business, if you say, oh, there you are, and you're talking to them where they are versus here I am and here's everything that's great about me, right? It's
Yeah.
a different conversation that you can have in your sales conversations or with your clients, with your customers. So
So cool. So cool. I wanted to ask you, I'm curious. I too am a coach. I'm a certified coactive and a certified relationship systems coach. What
yeah.
does it mean to be a business coach?
Yes, so I focus just like you have your modalities and your things that you're
Yeah.
really entrenched in helping your clients through. That's what I get to do as a business coach, right? So I'm focused on there are business coaches that focus only on certain areas of your business, like a sales coach or, a marketing coach or something like that. I'm kind of a all around coach because I know that we come to our businesses as whole people with all kinds of things that we need in our business, right? So because I have such a wide variety of skills and experiences in my business career, even in my working career, I got to do a lot of things. So I know how systems work in your business, and I know which systems, I can give you a good idea of how to set up the systems in your business, all the different systems, whether it's people and teams or financial systems or marketing systems or operation systems. So I've used it myself, and then now I get to help other people with really finding out where they need to focus most. That's going to make the biggest impact in their business. But
Excellent.
really, then if they have a lot of life stuff going on, then that's when I can refer them to people like you and say, I can't help with the life stuff. I can help with the business stuff, the strategies, tactics, and some mindset stuff. But really, if it's too deep into the mindset or other issues that they're dealing with that are holding them back, then that's when I refer them out to other people because that's not my wheelhouse. That's not my
Yeah.
gift.
Yeah. And yet still it sounds like you come from a philosophy of like who you are is how you lead, which is what we get from Brene Brown's work and Dare to Lead. Like you take
Yes.
yourself into the business you're developing. And
Yes.
so we need to start with you and your whole
Yes.
self and what it is you're trying to create. And then it sounds like you gathered a truckload of intelligence and information from all of your years, like running the law firm and beyond,
Mm-hmm.
and can help people with the setup and design of all of those different aspects. How do I put my whole self into what I'm creating for my business?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yes. Yes,
Cool.
exactly. That's one of the things I fell in love with about the Pinnacle Success System is it's 4 parts, but it starts with what's your pinnacle gift? What makes you unique so that every person's journey starts from where they are and who they are in their soul, right?
Yeah.
And then we go into how do you spend your time so that you get to spend time in your giftedness. And then we go into what's your offering, pinnacle offering. So then we figured out now we know who you are, what lights you up. Now we know how much time you want to spend getting lit up. And then let's figure out what your offer is that makes that ties into who you are and what lights you up and who are the clients that you want to work with. And then we work on a process creating some kind of intellectual property that helps you tie all those things together. And then nobody else in the world can market that thing because it's based on who you are.
Yeah.
Else has exactly that thing, right? So I just have loved that whole process and walking people through that process because it really does allow you to create a business that's based on joy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I it's a gift I hear you giving too, which is to
Yes.
say you are on purpose in this life just by being alive.
Yes. Hmm.
Let me help you find what your gift is and package it so that you can begin giving it away because
Yes.
your life and your intention and vision for life matter. There's someone else out there who needs to connect with what you have to give, and I can help you get
Yeah.
yourself situated to make that connection.
Yes. Yes. So the second C in the book is it's connect, contribute, and celebrate, right? So it doesn't do us any good to just keep gathering all this knowledge and understand who we are unless we can give that back and share that with other people, right? That contribution back to our clients or to society or whatever it is, right? So the contribution part, the contribute part is just as important as the connection and the celebration, right? So finding a way to package it and then give it back to people. And
Yeah.
that's, in the hero's journey too, right? So you go, you learn the lesson, then you have to bring it back to the village and share it with other people. So it's all built upon the same principles. But but sometimes we forget that step, and we get lost along the way, right? So that's where I can be the guide in the hero's journey of your business too.
Absolutely. Who was it that said the work of your life is discovering your unique gift, and the purpose of your life is giving that gift away?
Yes, I have that attributed to Pablo Picasso in one
I
of
do
my
too.
books.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if he said it or the internet has said he said it, but I do love that quote.
Yeah.
Well, Mary, it has been such a joy having you here. Thank you for joining us today. We are going to put a link in the show notes to all of your social media, your website. People can go there to learn about the services you offer and where to find your book.
Mm-hmm.
So for our listeners, join us each week. We are releasing an episode every week. Subscribe, download, tune in, tell your friends. You can check us out on Instagram at SoulStirredPodcast. We are so thankful that you were here today. Thank you so much, Mary.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of Soul Stirred, Stories of Growth and the Human Experience. We hope our stories have touched your heart and sparked reflections in your own journey.
Remember, while we are therapists, we are not your therapists, and this podcast is not a substitute for therapy. If you find yourself in need of professional support, please don't hesitate to seek it. Your well-being is important, and there are professionals out there who are ready to help.
We encourage you to carry the spirit of growth and connection with you. Life is a continuous journey, and we're honored to be part of yours.
Stay tuned for more captivating stories in the episodes to come. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other.